Friends in the Corner podcast. Stories and topics from around the state of Kentucky. Hey guys, welcome back in to Friends in the Corner podcast. Stories and topics from around the state of Kentucky. And guys, we've made it. Guys, it is the 1 year anniversary of Friends in the Corner podcast. Yes, this time last year, August 8th, 2018, we put our first episode online for you guys to listen to. And guys, what a year it has been. We've had some ups, we've had some downs, we've had a hiatus or two, and we've had some of the best interviews I've ever done, met some of the most amazing people in this entire state, and we've gotten to share amazing stories and topics with you guys, and I couldn't be more thankful for this year that we've had here. Guys, a year ago, I put this show online, not sure where it was going to go. I told you guys in the very first episode, I don't know how this show is going to pan out. Is it going to succeed? Is it going to fail? Are people going to listen to it? Or are people just going to ignore it? I didn't know. I just asked for you guys to join me. And boy, howdy, you guys did. I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in to Friends in the Corner podcast on a weekly basis to start and a bi-weekly basis now just to listen to all the great content we're putting out there. If you haven't been up to date what's been happening on the show, go on and follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FITC Podcast. That's FITC Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on all podcast listening platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and a few others. And be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so we can continue to put out the great content. And if you have any questions or ideas for the show, we encourage you guys to email us at friendsinthecorner@gmail.com. That's friendsinthecorner, all together lowercase, @gmail.com. In the time that we've been doing the show, we've had over 2,000 people listen to Friends in the Corner podcast. We've had people from all over the state of Kentucky, from Lexington, Louisville, Bowling Green, Covington, Northern Kentucky, Southern Kentucky, Pikeville to Paducah. We've had people from Pig to Frankfort to Franklin to Ohio County, to Graves County, to Woodford County, to Boone County, and all beyond. Guys, we can't say thank you enough to everyone that has been checking in to listen to the great stories about their state. We've had people from outside the state of Kentucky listen to us as well, from Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Indianapolis, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, New York City, Atlanta, and many, many more places. Outside the United States, we've had people listen from Mexico, India, Ukraine, Turkey, Argentina, Spain, Canada, and many, many more. We can't thank you guys enough for all the people who've been listening to the show. You guys have been listening on all sorts of different places, from SoundCloud to iTunes, which is now Apple Podcasts, to Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. You've even been checking out our YouTube page. Guys, we can't thank you enough for the time that you've given to listen to Friends in the Corner podcast. And guys, I gotta say that for the last year of my life, this show has been so much fun. I've gotten to meet some amazing people and do some incredible stuff because of this show. I've gotten to meet people that I've been dying to talk to for a long time, from the likes of DJ Otis Badass and West 6 Brewery. I've gotten to join networking groups like the Lexington Podcast Meetup, where I can meet other podcasters in the area. I've gotten to reconnect with my boys over at BB and Chalk Talk and do a bunch of special episodes with them. I've gotten to talk about some of my favorite topics with people, from pro wrestling to UK sports to, of course, delicious bourbon. I've gotten to go on the radio. I've gotten to go on TV. I've gotten to meet and talk with people about my show in many, many different counties, many, many different cities here in the state of Kentucky, and share stories and topics with you guys from around the way. I can say that this show has made a significant impact on my life. So for the 1 year anniversary episode of Friends in the Corner podcast, what I would like to do is look back at some of our favorite interviews, some of our favorite shows, some of our favorite topics we've talked over the last year, and just highlight them. If you guys want to see the full interviews or a couple people that we couldn't highlight today, we encourage you guys to go into the archives and check out all our past episodes from the past year. Now, I do want to forewarn my audience today about some of the clips they're going to be listening to from this show. A lot of these came during the early seasons of my recording of the podcast, so the audio levels are going to vary in different styles as my equipment continue to improve. But I do think the content is great and fantastic, so I hope you guys enjoy what you're listening to today. But let's go ahead and get started. The first clip that I want to present to you guys today is from the interview I did with Adam Banks of Off the Cuff. If there is anyone who played a significant role in helping me get this podcast started, it was Adam Banks. Adam and I worked together at BCTC, where he had already been doing his podcast Off the Cuff for about 5 years or so by that point. At that point, when we had him on the episode, he was already about 200 episodes deep, and I just had him on to ask what it takes to have longevity in a podcast, and he gave us some very good answers to that. So let's go ahead and listen to what Adam had to say on our episode.
And that's just, it took off from there, and 222 episodes later, here we are.
That's what I was about to say, man. So, obviously, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is that you're about 200, beyond 200 episodes deep, 221 by this point.
221, yep.
I'm on 2 by the time this episode comes out.
Okay.
So, tell me, what have you learned a lot doing over 200 episodes since then?
The first couple podcasts that you do are always your funnest.
Really?
They're so much fun because you're experiencing it all for the first time. It's a rush. You get that rush when you turn on that mic. I don't care who you are, how many times you do it. You got a rush when you flipped on that microphone. There's just something that gives you adrenaline when you flip it on and it's your own show and you get a chance to interview. And within time, that kind of goes away because you get really used to it. But those first couple episodes, you can never get that feeling back. It's just so much fun to do it with. And advice for anyone wanting to keep longevity of a podcast, I would just say to always stay consistent with it. One of the greatest quotes I ever heard was from the great Denzel Washington. He said, "If you hang around the barbershop long enough, you will eventually get a haircut." And that's how you got to look at this episode. or not this episode, but this as just a podcast as a whole. If you keep putting out episodes and you keep at it every single week, no matter how bad you feel or bored you are or how much you got going on, if you consistently put out a show once a week, no matter what's going on, and you keep doing it and you're consistent at it, no matter what, you will have 200. It's inevitable. If you don't give yourself another alternative, it's going to be one show every week or else. You will eventually wind up with 221 episodes like I did.
All right, and that was it for our clip from Adam Banks' interview that we did last year with him. You should go check out Adam Banks' show, Off the Cuff. It is now on Apple Podcasts, and he does a live show here in Lexington as well, Thursdays, 4 to 5 p.m. on 93.9 FM WLXU. Check out his show, Off the Cuff. Next clip that I wanted to present to you guys came from someone that I was very excited to have on the show. When I was planning out guests that I wanted to interview for the show, this was a guy that was on the very top of my list. His name is DJ Otis Badass. He's a local radio DJ for WKQQ, hosting the Saturday night, Sunday night block parties. He's also an announcer for Primetime Wrestling, PTW, in Paris, Kentucky. So I brought him on just to talk a little bit about pro wrestling, one of my favorite topics to talk about. And he actually laid down a lot of history about pro wrestling in the Lexington, Kentucky area, even telling us the connection that it had to wrestling legend Macho Man Randy Savage. So I'll give it right here to Otis to tell you guys a little bit about the history of Macho Man in the state of Kentucky. Here we go.
Well, you just mentioned about Randy Savage and his connection to Lexington. I actually don't know too much about
Oh, you don't know this?
No.
Oh,
I was going to ask about who are some of the legends of Kentucky that we wanted to highlight here.
Well, if you want to go way back, way back, you can go back to the professor, Roy Shropshire from Georgetown, Kentucky. He wasn't a big name in Kentucky, but and we're going all the way back to the 40s. Where he made his name was in the Pacific Northwest Territory out there, Roy Shropshire from Georgetown. To get back to Macho Man Randy Savage, you got to understand Savage's daddy, Angelo Poffo. The Savages were originally from Illinois. Mm-hmm. Angelo was an Italian immigrant. So the way they ended up in Lexington, Angelo was also a wrestler. And apparently he held like some ungodly world record of consecutive sit-ups. I mean, Angelo was the real deal. And Angelo had wrestled in Lexington back in the 50s. And So what had happened is that Angelo had came to Lexington because Savage could not get over in any of the other territories sanctioned by NWA. So Angelo decided to come to Lexington and start his own, what is considered an outlaw promotion. So basically, an outlaw promotion, if it wasn't sanctioned by the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, you're considered outlaw. So the territory out of Memphis was reaching up into Louisville. They would come to Rupp Arena, but there really wasn't a home base for a wrestling promotion until Angelo came here and created ICW, International Championship Wrestling. So that's how he was kind of able to fuel Randy and his brother, Leaping Lanny Poffo, he kind of fueled their career starting here in Lexington in the late 70s and early 80s. And then eventually Savage, I think I got the timeline mixed up, but Savage was in CWA out of Memphis as well. But, I mean, dude, you talk about a hot rivalry between CWA and ICW. I mean, just some wild stuff. But, yeah, that's how Angelo kind of cemented Randy Savage in the wrestling world.
Wow.
Was right here in Lexington, Kentucky. And they shot over at Channel 36. When studio wrestling, and that's like my lifelong goal is to get studio wrestling back here in this market. Channel 36, they were actually shooting with a live studio audience. They would shoot their program. They would bring people in, and you've got Savage in there, and you got Leaping Lanny Poffo and Crusher Broomfield, and one of my all-time favorite names, he was the manager, Izzy Slapowitz, and Hustler Rip Rogers. I mean, man, you just talk about some wild talent that came through ICW. But now here's a fun story. What they realized was that Channel 36, they had switched station managers. So the station manager was going to charge Angelo a whole lot more to use the studio to shoot wrestling programs. So they got smart. Angelo, Randy, and Lanny, they went out and bought a bunch of video equipment. So all their shows they're doing at auditoriums and high school gymnasiums, they start shooting the footage on their own. Randy and Lanny had taught themselves how to edit, and they start putting these tapes together and started sending them out to television markets to cut down on their cost as a promotion.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, before that, if you ask anybody in Lexington, I guarantee you they have a Randy Macho Man Savage story.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was telling one last night to somebody, and they said I was full of it. I said, no, it's true. I heard that he robbed a liquor store. And so, anyway, and I say it with all due respect. But Dave Baker, Channel 27, WKYT, he told me years ago, but before the Poffos bought all this editing equipment, Savage would come over there, and ICW aired on 27 at one point. So Dave would be working third shift at Channel 27, and Randy Savage would come over there, come to the back door at Channel 27, 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Dave, hey, Buzz, can you help me edit these tapes to send to Vincent Kennedy McMahon? Yeah. 3 o'clock in the morning, there's Buzz Baker and Randy Savage editing tapes to send to Vincent Kennedy McMahon, WWF, man. How crazy is that? Yeah.
Wow. And you never think like a star as big as Randy Savage was, his connection here is like, man. Well, especially, I'm not originally from Lexington, but, you know, it's not really talked about as much now as it used to be.
It's not, and it's, you know, people forget he played for the Reds.
Yeah.
And he played for the Cardinals, too. I mean, he was part of their farm system, and, you know, if I can ever find it one day, I know they're out there. If I can find these baseball cards with Randy Poffo on there, I'm buying them. I am buying them. But, yeah, you talk about a huge impact of wrestling in the state of Kentucky with the Poffos and ICW.
All right, and that was it for our clip from DJ Otis Badass. Go back into our archives and listen to the full interview that we did with him. And also go check out Primetime Wrestling down in Paris, Kentucky. They run shows Sunday nights down there. Really good, fun atmosphere. They have a strong fan base, the hashtag PTW Proud. So be sure to go support the local wrestling show down there. If there's a series that has been a staple of Friends in the Corner podcast, it has to be the Not So Professional Bourbon Review. One of my ideas when I was starting the show is that I wanted to review bourbon on this podcast, and I wanted to try to get my friends involved with it as well. I didn't quite know that the show would turn into the humor gags that it eventually turned into. So when I was getting the show started, I started making a list of my friends who I wanted to have on the show to review these bourbons. And as I started to hit record, I realized we were in for something unique. Definitely that. But hey, the Not So Professional Bourbon Review has been one of my favorite series to do on this podcast. We've done about 4 of them by this point here and had a lot of amazing guests and a lot of amazing moments on the show as well. I think if there's one person who's been the standout star of the Not So Professional Bourbon Review, it has to be my good buddy, Mr. Travis Bauman. Travis was our very first champion who won the Not So Professional Bourbon Review when we did it back in October, the very first episode that we did. And I can say it's because of him that the Bourbon Review has been a pinnacle point of my podcast. So let's take a look back at our former champion, Mr. Travis Bauman, and what made the Not So Professional Bourbon Review fantastic.
All right, we ready for number 4 here?
4, here we go. Also D.
You gonna be okay, Travis?
I'm still hungover from last night, and this is just gonna be rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love that through each like shot or tasting we've done, we've gotten aggressively louder, so you know that we're actually drinking it.
Well, as I was saying, doing a podcast bourbon review is maybe not the most ideal because it's bourbon is all about sight, smell, and taste. We're going for sound.
Yeah, we're really not.
Giving you the senses you never get when it comes to bourbon. You never hear about it.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like we're not really reviewing the flavor as much as we are just our inner monologue while we drink it.
Yeah.
Like, we're just saying the things that
this
nobody really says when they actually drink it. Like everybody wants to be Don Draper, but they're really just getting.
I'm gonna say a real blasphemy. I don't know who that is.
Don Draper?
Who's Don Draper?
Batman. Yeah.
It's like, if you just want to like get lost in a 30 hours of self-deprecating TV.
No, I do.
Watch that,
I do
man.
enough of that without TV.
Seems like most people thought 5 was the second best. That was the Single Barrel Buffalo.
Oh.
Number 2! This goes to show you can know not a thing and still be right.
I don't know if this makes us professionals or alcoholics by this point.
Happy to be either one.
All right, you said 3 was your second favorite.
Yeah.
What did everybody else think of 3?
Oh, wait a minute. No, I didn't mean 3. I meant 2. 3 is what I think benchmark was.
You think 3's benchmark?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 2 is regular Buffalo. That's my guess.
You are correct.
Holy
There's going to be a lot of editing on this episode.
2 is regular Buffalo.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you're right. 3 is Eagle Rare.
3 I literally just wrote
3.
the other one.
The one that people thought was either benchmark or Eagle Rare was Eagle Rare.
So
I'm 5 for 5! I'm 5 for 5! No way! Because I said 1 was Terabad, and that's benchmark. Another one, I literally just wrote the other one because I couldn't think of its name.
well, I got 3 out of 5 because I said the first one was Eagle Rare and benchmark was the third one.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I had.
so
I knew number 1 was benchmark.
As the
yeah,
Lord
absolutely.
said, the last will be first.
Buffalo Trace.
No,
He said
yeah.
that, right?
Did you get 5 out of 5 too?
no,
Got 2 out of 5.
I dropped out of seminary.
I knew 5.
Go Travis.
I got 5 out of 5.
So what have we
Beginner's
learned
luck.
here? So what we've learned is Travis is the most qualified bourbon reviewer out of our entire friend group.
I'd
don't
like
tell
to
him.
take a moment and say what I did. So, like, if you're eating sushi and you really want to enjoy it, you down some ginger in between to clear off that tasty palate of yours. What I did was I had habanero cheese White Castle cheeseburgers, and a
He's
lot
been
of
eating them the whole time.
what?
None.
I've already taken so many Tums, and now I might take more. Well, here you are, Dan.
And that is what set the standard for the Not So Professional Bourbon Review. I've had so much fun doing those series with my friends, and I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to that series as well. Hey, if you don't learn anything about bourbon from that show, I hope you guys at least get a good snapshot into what it's like to be a part of my friend group. It is a good time. And I want to thank Travis, who's been on the show multiple times, but not just him. There are many other voices that have been a part of it as well, the likes of Isaac Nichols, Zach Nichols, Chris Wilson, Christian Farmer, my beautiful, wonderful fiance, Catherine, has been on an episode as well, and many, many more. So definitely looking forward to doing more Not So Professional Bourbon Reviews down the road. The next clip that I want to share with you guys comes from my interview with Lexington hip-hop artist Ian Rosser, a.k.a. Mirage. We had Ian on our show a few months ago, and he told us a little bit about content creating and what goes into creating content and some of the advice that he was given when he was getting started on his hip-hop career. I think it was some fantastic advice, and I want you guys to take a listen as well to what he had to say. So let's see what Ian told us about content creating. What have you learned over these last couple years of creating these different songs and creating these different lines and putting your content out? What's the things that stick out to you most?
Sure, yeah. So I had a chance to work with this guy based out of Louisville, and his name's Jabril Power. And we had a chance to connect, and he just really taught me a lot about business just in general and just like kind of marketing. So what we worked on was essentially content creation. And I had no idea what this was. You know, keep in mind, I was just writing songs and putting it out. And as an artist, I think you get caught in this trap that you think you make a great song and you literally hit post on Facebook and it's just going to get plays and people are just going to find it and they're just going to listen to it like crazy and share it and talk about it.
It's like
and,
food pics.
Yeah. And I would be like shocked when I would put out something and it get 2 plays. And I'd be like, what happened? Like, is it bad? So then you internalize all of it. And then you're just like, I've got to get better. I've got to get better. But eventually you hit to a point where you're like, I sound better than some of these people on the radio. So how come people aren't listening to it? And it's because they're not finding it. Mm-hmm. They don't see it. And so I went to my friend and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm making the music, but I don't know how to get it out there. I don't really know what we talked. And basically the first thing he showed me was he pulled up my Facebook, my personal one. He said, okay, you have the business one, like the Mirage page. Then he pulled up the Ian page and he was like, this looks like, you're just hanging out with friends and this doesn't look like you're a rapper. And I was like, well, I'm separating the two, blah, blah. He was like, why are you doing that? Like, you're cutting your business in half. Like, you can have friends and stuff and still post content on your personal page, which is just going to have people, come into both pages. You don't need to cut it in half, per se. He said, if you cut it in half, you're going to be doing double the work because you're trying to funnel the people that you're already friends with to your music page when because they're friends with you, they like you. And that's the content that they want to get from is you. It's not necessarily the music per se, but some people just support you just because they support you. So I was like, whoa. So that was the first thing is like changing all my stuff, changing it all, making everything the same. So like if your stuff is, Dan Pauly show, and then on Twitter it's Dan Pauly 10101. And then, on Instagram is Dan Pauly, the blue cat called me, or whatever, and it's
you're creating different personalities for yourself through that way.
Right. And then people are struggling to find out, well, which one is him and is this the right guy? And when everything is the same, then people are like, okay, this is what it is. And then Google also does that too. They track that too. So now all of a sudden you have SEO presence. So, which is search engine optimization. Excuse me. So then all of a sudden when people Google your name, it comes up. So like when you Google Mirage now, it comes up. But before, I was Mirage with 1A. So some of my old Gmail accounts and some old stuff has still 1A on it. But I went to 2A's because it was so competitive with 1A. You got the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas. You got all these different Mirages. There was some other artists that are Mirage. So it was like having that second A was like after all I've been through, this is the product. That was the whole meaning behind it. And then also it had the being able to be branded. People spell their names differently all the time, different artists. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be, because I didn't want to go away from that, because I have friends that call me Mirage. You know, they don't even say, hey, Ian, what's up?
Ian, they just know Mirage.
Yeah, they say, hey, Mirage, what's up? Like, they call that like that's my name. So it's like I can't just be changing it, because then everybody's going to be confused. And this talking about years of branding to get it back up to where Mirage was, because I've been Mirage since like my freshman, sophomore year of college. So it was like, okay, I stuck with Mirage, added an A. And then, like I said, so anyway, back to the point, my friend is showing me content creation and showing me how to create content. I had no idea what that even means. And that just means, obviously, you're not going to put out a song every day. I mean, it would be really hard to do that. But it's like you can show people what you're working on. He had me read a book by Austin Kleon called, there's one called Stealing Like an Artist, and then there's another one called Show Your Work. And I read the Show Your Work. I need to get Stealing Like an Artist. But basically, he talks about in the book, and it was a, bestseller, New York Times bestseller. But basically, he talks about showing the behind the scenes, showing what you're doing, how you're creating your content, how are you getting ideas. Maybe if you do music, you're showing the studio, you're showing the microphone you bought, you're showing the shoes you bought because you're about to go perform, you're showing like the kind of behind the scenes stuff. And then you're showing different so it could be pictures, it could be videos, it could be, and then once you do it for a while, I've almost been doing it for a full year now. So now you can go back and I can see data and I can see, okay, this post got more likes than this post. Well, why? Well, let's really analyze what I found just looking at my own data is that a lot of people like to see me actively rapping. Shocker. So they like it when I have a video and I'm rapping on the video, whether it's an open mic, whether it's whatever. So I started doing these free verse Fridays where I ask people what beats do they want me to do. They tell me the beat and I write a quick verse to it on Friday and I record it on my camera and then I put it out and people love it. And it's been, people share it and they talk about it. They go, hey, do this beat this week, do this beat this. So, it's some engagement, it's some learning, and then it's some execution. And one of the things my friend was very hard with me on was like, you got to hit that upload button at the end of the day. And really, I don't post enough. I've got another friend out in LA and he's like, you should be posting 3 times a day. And he's like, if you could post 3 times a day, make it high quality stuff, there's no reason why you wouldn't grow your audience, 200%, 300%. So yeah, there's all these little things that I just picked up and learned that I had no idea. I was just a man in his bedroom making some records and putting them out. But in order to actually get out there, and it works because I have friends, people who they see me every now and then, but all of a sudden I'm posting every day. So people are like, what is this? What's going on?
All right, and that was it for our interview with Ian, where he was telling us a little bit about content creating. There, go check out the full interview in our archives. But Ian had some fantastic advice in that clip, which we really took to heart here in Friends in the Corner podcast, as we decide to create and develop this brand and what the next phase looks like. And we're going to talk more about that at the end of the podcast here today. If you guys also want to check out a few other episodes that we've done with people we haven't been able to highlight today, we've still got some fantastic interviews that we've done with the likes of Ryan Davis, West Six, The Oblivion Bar, Screenplayed, and a few others in our archives. We encourage you guys to go check out. It was a fun year of getting to do these interviews with all of these fantastic people from around the state of Kentucky. But if you were to ask me what was my favorite interview that I've done for the show since I got started, I would have to tell you it was the most recent episode I did. It was the interview I did with my fiance, Catherine Watwood. See, about a couple months ago, me and Catherine got engaged, and I brought her on the show to share our story and tell you guys a little bit about our engagement. It's become one of my most listened to episodes since then. So I want to share a clip from that episode where we talked about the proposal and how everything went right and how everything went wrong all in the same time. So let's go ahead and jump right into that one. Everyone that meant the world to Catherine, I wanted to message and just encourage them, like, hey, if you guys can make it to Lexington that night, it'd be great. And I was kind of shocked because I was inviting one of her best friends lives in Alabama, and she made it up. And I was like, holy hell. and like a bunch of other friends like came in from Bowling Green and stuff. So and my brother came down from Dayton, and it was just exciting to like see all these people wanting to be a part of the big day. Now, what the original plan was, and it didn't quite go as smoothly as I wanted it to. My plan was that we were going to go eat at Tony's Steak and Seafood in Lexington. I made a reservation for there, and I did it under the guise of I won this award from Castle and Key for giving the best tours, and they gave me a $100 Tony's gift card. What really happened was the day before we went out there, I bought a $100 gift card. And I presented it as like, can you believe it? Like, I can't believe they gave me this award for being the best tour guide ever.
And like, I really thought Dan had won this gift card, and I was like, oh, cool. But then Dan was like, do you want to see the gift card? And I was like, yeah. So he handed it to me.
And the damn receipt with my name on it is sitting in the middle of the thing. So I just like quickly like pull it off.
Oh yeah. Well, and at that point, when Dan was like, "Oop, let me get that back," I was like,
Suspicions. And so we were going to eat at Tony's, and then we were going to walk across the street, because where Tony's is, right across the street is a park in downtown Lexington called Triangle Park, and is right next to Rep Arena. There's these fountains out there that are beautiful, and I was going to propose to her in front of these fountains and have all of our friends and family out there to celebrate. Well, the same night I wanted to do this proposal, Pride Fest was going on in downtown Lexington, and Lexington has one of the biggest Pride Fests in the state of Kentucky. But what it was what I found out, I didn't know till later that day, because I thought Pride Fest is happening down by the courthouse, ain't going to impact us at all. What we found out that night is that apparently in Triangle Park is where they'll do the weddings for the couples that show up to Pride Fest that night, like all day. That's an all day deal. So I'm like, I can't go propose here because I'm interfering with someone else's wedding. So yeah, we couldn't go to Triangle Park. That got pulled out right away. So that night I had to throw an audible, and everyone was coming from out of town. So I just said, all right, let's go do it in my backyard of my house. That'll be the easiest option for us. Everybody we lined up. So we went and ate at Tony's Steak and Seafood downtown, but I had probably another hour to kill. So
and the food was really good.
Really good. Go to Tony's and try their stuff. We started walking around. I told her, like, hey, I didn't tell her we had an hour to kill, but I was like, let's go check out some of the stuff. So we went and walked around Pride Fest, and Pride Fest is actually kind of cool. I'd go down to it. We ran into two guys that I gave a tour to at Castle and Key that day. And I told these guys on my tour, yeah, I'm proposing to my girlfriend tonight. And they're like, whoa, that's crazy, man. That's exciting, awesome. I ran into these same guys in the middle of Pride Fest. And they were like going to bars and stuff, because I suggested to them like 3 bars they needed to check out in downtown Lexington. They're like, yeah, we're going to go do it. And sure as they did.
Well, to be fair, Dan told like everybody except me that he was going to propose to me.
Yeah. It was no secret. So we show up and we run into them, and I go say hi to them. And they're like, what's up, man? How you doing? And then they see Catherine. They're like, there's the lucky lady. Like, they think I already did it. And they're like, and I'm like, I'm behind Catherine giving like that. No, I didn't do it yet. Hang on. They're like, oh yeah, it's like, it's cool, man. It's like, and so like they thankfully they saved the surprise, but I was like, that was a close call. So then I'll let you take it from there, where we go from here.
Oh, okay. Well, Dan thinks that really wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't notice at all, which may have just been me being oblivious.
I don't remember their names, but there's 2 cool guys from Cleveland.
Maybe they'll listen to this and
shout out. Yeah. Cheers to Cleveland. Go Browns.
Yes. But anyways, so Dan and we had been at Pride Fest, and we were walking back. And it was pretty clear to me at this point what was going on. And I was really excited, but I was really nervous. And Dan was really nervous too, I think, right?
Yeah, I was trying to get this done. And well, I didn't want the surprise to be ruined.
Yeah. Dan was like, well, we were going back to the car. And that was a plan. Like, we were headed that direction. And Dan, like, checked his watch. And then he was like, hey, let's go to the art museum.
Yeah, we went in the 21C because I needed to kill just a few more minutes. So we walked around.
And we literally just, like, went down to the bathroom, and then we left.
Yeah.
And I was like...
one of her best friends from back home was texting me, like, are you guys coming or not? So,
and Dan was being, like, really weird about his phone for, like, a month before we got engaged. Like, he would take it with him anytime he left the room.
What did you think was going to happen that night?
So, actually, I really had no idea. Like, when you were like, oh, let's go to Tony's, I was like, oh my gosh, I legit thought you got that gift card from Castle and Key. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you seriously taking me to dinner with a gift card you got from Castle and Key on the night of our engagement? That's so lame.
Oh, you thought I just paired the two together.
Okay, I knew you were going to do something super romantic. And I legitimately had no idea what was going to happen. Like, I thought we might go down to Castle and Key or go to somewhere where we'd had one of our first dates. I didn't know. So,
but what we did instead was we went back to my house. We got to the house, and the first thing I said was, hey, so I don't know if you know this, but I didn't actually win an award at Castle and Key. And you said, I know.
Well, I've been laughing before that, and you were like, what's so funny? And I was like, I don't know.
It was very awkward and very apparent what the hell was going on. And then, do you want to tell what happened from here?
Oh, well, we were sitting in Dan's car, and he was like, it wasn't actually a gift card. And I was like, yeah. And we went out into his backyard, and all these people were standing there, and I saw my sister and my friend Madeline right away, because Madeline is like really like blonde, and she's just like hard to miss in a crowd, and my sister is my sister, and it was weird she was there. I was like, and I just kept seeing like all of our friends.
So everyone that came down, I was like, I couldn't have been more happy about it. So it was all her friends, who I wanted there more than anything. Madeline, who we were talking about, she was coming from Alabama. Some friends of her were in town. My brother and his wife came down from Dayton. My stepsister came down from Dayton. Just a bunch of other people were coming in town for this, and we had a really cool group of people together. And I think it was really magical for both of us. I would say. I think it's probably one of the most memorable things that's ever happened to me, is being surrounded by everybody. And
way better, Dan.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. It was magical.
It was magical. It was a great night, and then we just partied all night. Now we're engaged and getting ready to be married. She's going to be a poly, unfortunately.
I'm actually very excited for that.
And that was my beautiful bride-to-be. Guys, if there's anyone who has helped to encourage me and motivate me to continue forward with this podcast, it is Catherine. I cannot thank her enough for all the love and support that she's given me over the past year of doing this show. Just like I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and listening to this show as often as you guys do, checking it out online, following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You guys have been a fantastic staple of keeping this show together, and the past year has just been amazing to be able to do this show. So from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you, thank you, thank you for making Friends in the Corner podcast succeed. But I also have to tell you guys this. We're just getting started. I've been teasing to you guys that we have a big announcement for the podcast that I was going to present to you guys at the end of the show, and we are coming to that point that I want to share with you guys. And guys, I'll tell you this. It took a lot of courage for me to start this show last year when I did. I really did not think people were going to listen to this show. I didn't think people were going to care, and I have been greatly proven wrong, and I am so grateful for it. And so, guys, it is time to take another courageous step in the history of the show. I am excited to announce that Friends in the Corner podcast will be starting a Patreon. Yes, we are going to have you guys help to join us on Friends in the Corner podcast so that we can continue to improve on the show, continue to grow, continue to tell the stories and topics from around the state of Kentucky. if I know what it sounds like. It sounds like, oh, Dan, you're going to be asking us for money. But guys, this is an opportunity to really partner and grow something fantastic. And I want you guys to be a friend of my corner and help me out to grow the show to what it can be. I'm excited to have opportunities for you guys to come on to the show, do some special things. Maybe we'll do a bourbon review or two. I don't know. We're going to look into the legality of that. But in the coming weeks, we're going to talk a little bit more and present a little bit more on the Patreon and the tiers that are going to be available on that for you guys to be a part of. But guys, it is an exciting time to be a part of Friends in the Corner podcast. When I was thinking and praying about starting this Patreon, it thought back to my first episode that I did of Friends in the Corner podcast, where I said the only person that you need to get permission from is yourself. And that is the courage that it's taken for me to start this Patreon. So if you want to learn more about the Patreon as we start rolling things out, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FITC Podcast. That's FITC Podcast, where we're going to be giving more information about that. Also, if you do have any questions, feel free to email the show at friendsinthecorner@gmail.com. That's friendsinthecorner, all together, lowercase, @gmail.com. Guys, it has been a fantastic year of doing this show for you guys, and I hope you guys have enjoyed every single episode we've been able to put out to you, and I hope you guys are excited for what the future looks like for Friends in the Corner podcast. We're going to be back in a couple weeks here with a couple more episodes for you guys. We've got UK football season started up, so you know we're going to be doing something special with that, and we will be talking to you guys more about the future of the show from there as well. So thank you guys. I love you guys. Thank you, Kentucky, so much. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Friends in the Corner podcast. That's a wrap.